First up, though, let's talk about the right to protest, because we've seen a number of people being arrested for protests, both in Scotland and in London. Some of those protests you might think were particularly unpleasant. Some say indecent. A man shouting out at Prince Andrew as he walked behind his mother's coffin. Some choice words I'd rather not repeat on air. Bundled to the ground. He was arrested by police. The men who criminally assaulted him, not arrested. A woman holding up a sign saying abolish monarchy and a naughty F word about colonialism. She was arrested. A man who asked simply at a vigil in Oxford who elected him as the king passed by. He shouted out who elected him. He was arrested. Also, a woman moved along from outside Parliament gates at Westminster for holding up a sign saying "Not my king." Well, following that, although this woman was not arrested, the Met Police have been very clear today she was simply moved along because she was blocking the driveway into Parliament, they say. Paul Powlesland, a barrister, decided to make his own protest. Let's have a little listen to and watch of the video that he made of his interaction with police outside Parliament.
Just confirm. Why are you asking for my details? I was holding up a blank sign. Why are you asking for my details? Because you said you're going to write stuff on it that may offend people.
I
said
I was going to write "Not my king" on a sign, and you asked for my details.
It may offend someone.
Who's that going to offend?
Don't know. Someone may.
Not my king. Someone might be offended. Well, that's a little video of the exchange between my next guest and a police officer. Paul Powlesland is the barrister who was holding up a blank piece of paper with the threat to write the words "Not my king" on it, which apparently could have offended people. Really appreciate you joining us this morning, Paul. Thank you for joining us.
Good morning, Judy. I really like the new name. I've got Blank Paper Protester.
Blank Paper.
That's on my Chamber's website.
Yes, that's going to be on your CV for the rest of time.
I know.
What prompted you to go down to Parliament to hold your blank piece of paper then?
It was really seeing the video of the woman being moved along for holding up the "Not my king" sign. I really believe strongly in the right to freedom of expression and believe it's one of our most precious rights. As precious as the monarchy, you know, it's taken centuries to build up that right. And it's in these moments of, dare I say, national consensus where that kind of right can slip and can be in most danger. So I felt the need to go down and try and uphold that right. And I was going to go down with a "Not my king" sign, but actually I really couldn't risk arrest because I was due to be in the tribunal representing a client this morning. So even if it wasn't a criminal offence, I couldn't risk spending a night in the cells and not representing my client. So
which is an extraordinary thing. Just from what you've said there, you're not even a Republican yourself, you're a monarchist.
Well, actually, I wasn't till last week. I think until last week, I was, like most British people, intellectually, I thought the monarchy was a bit of a weird idea. I'm generally quite left-wing in my views, but I thought, well, it kind of works practically. I respect the Queen, and I like that sense of security. You know, the Queen's all we've ever known. But actually, the events of the last week have, I think, turned me into a Republican.
That's very interesting. But again, you mentioned this key thing at times of national consensus. Now, when we have national consensus on things, and there's very little debate in Parliament, people say, "Oh, this is a very good thing." As a general rule, I find, having been a political journalist for many years, that's usually when very, very bad things happen. And actually, you need dissent, you need people questioning things, and you need that to be dealt with and covered in the media. Now, we have seen around the clock, 24/7 coverage of a nation in mourning. No doubt at all, millions of people are in mourning. Millions of people will have shed a tear when they heard the news. Millions want to pay their respects to the Queen and go to the coffin. People will queue for hours on end. But there are also many more who are, getting on with daily life, and there'll be also, and I think it will be a minority, I'm among this, people who are very respectful of the Queen, as you say, but actually are not monarchists. Now, the question there is that balance, isn't it? But the key thing is people are not being stopped from mourning the Queen, but people are, it would be being stopped from even the most inoffensive protests. Now, someone shouting out at Prince Andrew as he walks behind his Queen coffin, I think, frankly, is beyond the pale. I'm
not really here to defend that. And I think
no, exactly. And I think that's it. But someone holding up a sign saying "Not my king," in what way is that offensive? In what way is that disrespectful to the Queen? Or in any way, is that in any way a breach of the law? As a barrister, you would know the law better than most of us?
It's very, very likely not. The issue is, of course, is that I don't think I would have been convicted had I been arrested. But of course, even the spending a night in the cells is not a pleasant thing, and yeah. I would have messed up my job because I couldn't represent my client this morning, so I couldn't risk it. And so it has a chilling effect. And just on that thing of the morning, I think we need to I draw a very clear distinction between issues of mourning and remembering the Queen and protesting the accession of Charles III. I think, and actually it's the monarchy itself that's sort of blurred those lines. I've been surprised by the extent to which actually in the supposed time of national mourning, Charles has been out there making speeches, having himself proclaimed, all the trumpets and people in gold and brocade and all this kind of thing. He's definitely using this time, and I think somewhat the memory of the Queen, to bolster his accession. And I think that is a justifiable target for protest.
Well, that is part of the continuity of the monarchy. That as we've seen, look, Prince, I've done it again. King Charles immediately. King Charles made the announcement that the Queen was dead. Immediately, people were singing, "God save the King." The Queen is dead. God save the King. It is a split second, and that's about the continuity, isn't it? But it doesn't allow for any debate. But what do you make of in terms of the advice the police have been given? The Metropolitan Police issued a statement yesterday saying, for instance, that we've been using some footage of the woman who'd held up that sign outside Parliament saying "Not my King." She was moved along asked to move elsewhere, but she was not arrested. They were very, very clear to say that. But other people were standing and walking past where she was, so clearly they weren't considered to be in the way. And when a car came, I've worked in Parliament many, many years. Well, if you're standing talking to someone there, a car comes, you get out of the way, frankly. So I didn't really see why that was even necessary for them to do that. But we have seen other people actually arrested, and again, even just for holding up a sign. We have sort of walked into an idea that if someone is offended, or in this case could be offended by what someone else holds on a sign or says, even in a non-threatening way, that somehow is against the law. But breach of the peace and all that, you have to, as far as I understand it from my reading of the Act, you have to actually be abusing someone or threatening someone for there to actually be a criminal act. In what way has any of these acts been a threat to public safety?
Well, in addition to breach of the peace, it's also Section 5 of the Public Order Act, which is sort of the lowest level public order offence, is what is often quoted. But I don't think really any of these holding a sign thing comes anywhere close to it. I don't think any lawyer thinks it is. But as I say, it's the chilling effect of that. And actually, in some ways, what happened yesterday and the media reaction to it has been useful, because the police have rowed back and they've said, actually, no, you are free to go and peacefully protest. So actually, I'm going to go back there later on today with the "Not My King" sign and stand there. And I don't think I'll be arrested. And I don't think after the media hoo-ha of today I'll be threatened with arrest. And that will, I think, hopefully say to everyone, no, you are free to go and protest the accession. Maybe don't protest the funeral out of
yes, and I think people have the right to do so. But again, people can choose. With a lot of things, we have the right to do so. It's whether or not it's appropriate to do it and whether it's decent to do it. In my view, I don't think it would be appropriate or decent.
To protest the funeral? To
protest the actual funeral. People are mourning.
No, there's an interesting thing of even that location outside Parliament. Yesterday was a great time to do it because Charles was in there addressing the Houses of Parliament as monarch. It seems like a very justifiable thing to protest. Tomorrow, the Queen's body is going to be inside Westminster Hall. I'd probably not go there, to be honest, to protest there, because it feels a bit weird to do it when people are grieving around that area. And I think that's quite a sensible thing. But to say that we're not allowed any kind of protest in the next 2 weeks at all for the accession of a king seems bizarre.
And the key thing is here, you don't have to agree with a protester. You don't have to agree with what they're saying or what they're doing to defend their right to be able to do so. And for us to stand firm when we see this sort of overarching, as you say, this chilling effect that we are seeing on our freedom of speech to talk about pretty much anything that isn't, the publicly accepted view.
I really support and indeed encourage everyone in this time of, it's a huge shift for us, isn't it? We're going from one monarch to another. Most people in this country have never even known that shift. I really encourage everyone to peacefully let your feelings be known about that. If you like it, hold up a "God Save the King" sign. Yeah. If you don't like it, say hold up a "Not My King" sign. Because actually we're also, crucially, not really seeing that much debate in the media. It's pretty homogenous of being, pro-monarchy. So actually the ability to go out on the streets and let other people know how you feel about something that really does affect you, the accession of a new monarch, feels really important.
Absolutely. Well, I support you in standing up for freedom of speech, and I say I defend the free speech of anyone, whether I agree with them or I don't.
We almost certainly disagree on many views, Julie.
Oh, I've some things in common. I've seen your Twitter feed. I think this is one of the very few things. But again, even if you were saying the opposite, I would still defend your right to do it, because freedom of speech is kind of the point of the country we live in. It is what new king promised to uphold as part of being a constitutional monarch. Indeed, Paul Powlesland, barrister who made a freedom of speech protest yesterday.